They made 2 high-speed cameras, taking pictures at the rate of 100,000 in 1 second. Instruments too for testing the impact of the explosion, for gauging the instant shaft of gamma ray and the lingering poison of radioactivity. Nothing was left to chance, but there was still an element of doubt. They knew they were making a weapon of awe-inspiring power, but they would never see the finished product, never even know, perhaps, the ultimate function of the parts they handled with such care.
I was 5 years old on the 7th of September 1939, which was the week when the Second World War started. I can remember the air raid sirens, and they converted the cellars in our houses into air raid shelters. I was 5, my brother was 3, and for us, the war was like a big game of cowboys and Indians. In the whole of the war, there was only one air raid where they actually dropped a bomb in the street where I lived. My grandfather was in charge of the fire watch. I can remember my grandfather's voice shouting out, "Fall in!" When I left school, I went to be an apprentice joiner and shop fitter. I felt that I wasn't actually learning. So when I got to the age of 18, I decided to go straight into the army. Because I was an apprentice carpenter, I got into the Royal Engineers.
Fire! Combat also means the combat engineer, who uses his special skills in the front line to open the way for the advancing armor and infantry. He also has to prevent the enemy's advance by disrupting his lines of communication.
We learnt that an explosion is a rapid burning of a substance. What happens when you burn something very quickly is that it sucks in oxygen and then blows it out again. It was all very controlled. The emphasis all the time was on how to do it safely. When I finished my basic training in the army, I was posted overseas to Hong Kong. At 18 years old, I'd only once been out of England, and I'd very rarely been out of Yorkshire. Hong Kong was a revelation. The Union Church is on Jordan Road, and it was smack bang opposite a girls' boarding school. The senior girls were all brought across from the school to the youth club on Friday nights, so we were socialising with the girls, which was very nice. The most surprising and shocking thing was to see the Chinese girls in town wearing cheongsam. The cheongsam was a tightly fitted dress with a slit right up the side which showed their legs, which was, if you can sort of cast your mind back to what the kind of fashion was in England in the late 40s, early 50s, where girls didn't even show their knees. It was, wow. The surprising thing about meeting Lily was, when I first met her, I thought she was about 14 years old. All these girls were much older than we thought because they'd missed all the school during the Japanese occupation and started school late. So she was 18 years old then. So she was only a year younger than me. I hadn't taken this girl seriously at all until suddenly I realized that she was my age. Within a space of about a month or so, we became boyfriend and girlfriend. We'd been on a picnic one Saturday, and I picked her up from school, and we went across to Hong Kong Island on the vehicle ferry. It was there that I realized that I really loved this girl. We were talking in a very romantic way, and she told me she loved me. And I said, I love you too. Will you marry me? She said yes. She said yes. So she thought she had tricked me into proposing. So we had a good laugh about that. It was only afterwards it dawned on me that coming back to England with me, she was leaving all that behind. She was leaving everything to follow me. She was probably the first Chinese person to set foot in Leeds. She used to get stared at. She was very beautiful. You know, she used to stop the traffic walking down the street. She didn't allow that to bother her at all. She just tried to carry on. All through her life, there was a good deal of racial prejudice, but she was very, very tolerant. There is a Chinese proverb that you should not live like the reeds that break when the winds come, when the storms arise, but you should bend like the grass in the fields. And that was pretty much Lily's outlook on things. Christmas Island was the largest coral atoll in the world, and it's pretty well bang smack in the centre of the Pacific Ocean. You couldn't find a place that was farther away from everywhere than Christmas Island itself. We arrived on Christmas Island in March 1958. We stepped out of the aeroplane and the sun was like a hammer on your head. I was with the Royal Engineers and we were there purely and simply as builders. We were sweating like mad. By the time you'd had a couple of cups of tea, sweat was pouring out of your body. It's the only place I know where if you're wearing shorts, you've absolutely got to wear underpants because you're walking on coral sand, which is like glass. It reflects the rays of the sun. And if you didn't have underpants on, you were going to get sunburnt in a very embarrassing place. We were all there to build a base and support the scientists who were going to test the bombs. I saw 5 bombs altogether, starting with the nitrogen bomb, which was the most powerful bomb that Britain has ever exploded. The flash comes first. The flash is the brightest thing that's ever been, because even with your palm of your heel of your hand in your eye socket, you still see the flash, and you see the bones of your hand. You feel it on your back. After the flash, you have to still sit with your back turned to the bomb and wait for the blast. When the blast had gone, then you were allowed to stand up and turn around and look. By that time, the fireball was like a big rolling ball in the sky. And then from the bottom of it, you get this stalk thing coming down. The cloud itself starts to expand and expand until it's right over your head. You're looking right up at it. It was such an amazing thing, you're just trying to take it in. I think I was really too naive to think about the consequences of developing a nuclear weapon. The politicians none of them have ever experienced it. What they talk about and how they talk about it is out of ignorance, really. To say that when we felt the flash of the bomb on our backs, that was a dose of radiation. In the squadron I was with, about 150 men in the squadron, I think, and I've only been able to find 2 who are still alive. One of the lads who was same tent as myself, he came out of the army at the same time as me, more or less, and he got married, and he has had children with birth defects, and in fact he's died of some form of cancer. it puzzles me greatly that we slept in the same tent. We were doing the same things. And yet, I'm here and they are dead. There should have been, very, very quickly after the event, they should have been recognised and compensated. I cannot express my disdain and disgust at the way the Minister of Defence have spent millions of pounds combating claims for compensation. Not enough people in Britain understand just how bad it is, and I think we all ought to be ashamed. The most difficult thing and the worst thing about being on Christmas Island was the separation from my wife. I found it difficult to even sit down and write a letter because the separation was so overpowering. On an emotional and personal level, Christmas Island was the worst thing that had ever happened to me. I think it did, in some respects, strengthen the bond between us. We were married 58 years and 7 months before she died of cancer. And all that 58 years, I was conscious that she'd given up so much to be with me. There was never a time when I didn't actually fall out of love with her. It was, miss her terribly. Yeah. I always used to tell her that I loved her, but I never really appreciated just how much she loved me until she died. And the weight of all that love has been with me ever since. It's the only way that I've been able to bear the separation. It's 10 years this year since she died. I don't know how I would have got through those 10 years if it wasn't for the fact that in many respects she's still with me. From the naive, ignorant lad from Yorkshire, it's been quite a journey, really. I have a granddaughter. She is part Chinese, part English, and she married a chap who is part Portuguese, part Ghanaian. And they have 4 children, all different colours actually. There's 4 of them. They're all slightly different skin colour. They are the most beautiful children you have ever seen. Racial awareness makes people aware of all the differences between us. what we should be aiming for is racial harmony. I always look at the people as individual human beings. I think they're just like me. The nuclear weapon is the ultimate in military threat. It's a weapon that should never, ever be used. And the more we think about racial harmony, the less chance it will be used.